The Perfume Bar has been sipping on designer fragrances, skincare, and cosmetics for over 40 years. We house a wide selection of designer brands such as Chanel, Dior, Gucci, Versace, and so much more. For your shopping convenience, visit any of our locations: A Street, Palmdale, Marathon, and our newest location out west in the Old Fort Center. Come on in and spray a little happiness only at the Perfume Bar.
Talk the talk. Do something about it. Make a donation of $20, $50, $300, $500 to stop the invasion campaign, to stop the illegals from annexing these shores. Put your money where your mouth is and donate to the account number 551-01-26518 at Bank of the Bahamas, JFK branch. Or donate to the GoFundMe account. Here's how. https://GoFundMe/7DBF9D05. Stop the invasion campaign. Be a part of the solution and give your financial donation today.
Resolve to save with the specials at Super Value and quality supermarkets. Chef Boyardee spaghetti and meatballs, 15 ounce, $169.
Hey, Steve. You set that one up.
Oh, yes. 7 1/4 ounce.
Good afternoon, everybody. We'll be getting started shortly.
4 pounds, $269. Danish spare ribs, $2.89 per pound. Fresh carrots, 2-pound bag, $2.99. Another year to save at Super Value and quality supermarkets.
Steve McKinney, I show off the chair. I feel Mr. McKinney is excellent, he's professional in his field, and he takes care of all issues.
I listen to hard copy, but like I hear various viewpoints, and it helps.
Hard copy is my show. Steve McKinney is my man.
When Steve talks, people listen.
It is Tuesday, February the 16th, 2024. As you look at the justice in the streets and riding traffic, with partly sunny skies with temperatures at 84 degrees in the nation's capital, a low night of 70 degrees. So much for joining us on the Drive Hall. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're being brought to you today by Shanty's Cafe, Full Tech on Toledo Williams Darling Highway, Super Value, all the Hayes Market, Rocky Hershey. It's Dime the Garden over there in CB's. The McKinney Media Group, 32 Gibbs Lane and Fort Allen, Geneva Brass Seafood, Eden Street and Shiplingham, Ronsley Motors Card and Wolf Road, Bahamas Foot and Ankle out there on Blake Road and Rosetta Street. Super Wash with locations everywhere to please you. That's Insurance, Google Road, Mac and Steve on Soldier Road. Also, we're being brought to you today by Super Center, East Street North, House Liquidators on Mac Street, and the Perfume Bar in Providence. What are the definite plans for the Abaco? The people there say they feel totally left out of the national picture in the Bahamas because they don't feel the love from the central government. The once thriving economy is now being replaced by aliens from the Republic of Haiti, and the new economy is mainly in the hands of those who continue to take over the land. They are the ones building houses and shopping complexes throughout north and the south of Abaco. COI traveled to the family island to get a proper perspective of the happenings there and will report on the conditions and the concerns that they found. Today, we talk with Lincoln Bean on those matters and more.
And so we thank you so much that you've joined us here today on the show, Hard Copy. It is Tuesday, and we have so many things that we have to talk about today because so many things have been happening in our country. Of course, a lot of things have happened over in most of the family violence, but Abaco in particular has been a very, very serious situation that's been occurring in that place, North and South Abaco, and the people there have told me that they have been upset for a little while now. We got calls from them on this station, on hard copy, and on other talk shows that says that something needs to happen down there for someone to bring attention to the plight of the people down in Abaco. And so, talking to talk with many people, the word got out, and so Lincoln and company, they decided that they were going to go down to that place, Abaco, and talk very soberly with the people in that particular vicinity. Abaco used to be a thriving place. You all remember that. This was the biggest economy as far as the incomes are concerned for the National Treasury. New Providence, Grand Bahama, Freeport, and of course Abaco. They helped to contribute something around about 17% of the income that came to the country. But ever since that hurricane came, Dorian, and destroyed the entire land, they have been having troubles after troubles. Yes, the hurricane of 2019 did wipe out most of the persons who were down there, especially those illegal Haitian nationals who were there. Many of them came this way into the Bahamas, into New Providence. They caught the boat, they came into New Providence, and that's why this city, too, is now very, very overpopulated for the most part, because a lot of them came here. Those who were left, they had a lot of people who died, as you know. So what we have in Abaco these days are people who have not been faring well. That's putting it gently. There are old women in those communities who have been taken out of their homes, those homes that were constructed as tents for them to live in temporarily. And somehow the government put a stop to that, and they had to go and find their own way. Now, the Haitian nationals who are down there, many of them still illegal, they have been doing some things in that place that caused them to be able to build complexes, shopping centers, if you will, apartments, houses. And you would ask yourself the question, well, how come these things have happened? Well, the government knew all along because people had been saying to them, look, the people are down there doing things, and what are y'all going to do? Kyle Mills and company have been saying that all the time. But for some reason, nothing has been done about it. Now the government is moving fast to bring relief to the situation of illegal immigration and immigration in the Bahamas. And so they're doing a number of things right now trying to make sure that these things don't happen anymore. They're trying to contain the Shanty Towns. They're trying to destroy them all. They're trying to do things in Carmichael Road and all of those places. They knocked down some places yesterday, and they are now saying that they're going to go down to Abaco next. I don't know if that's because Lincoln Bain was down in Abaco that prompted them to now say that they're going to go down the next. That was actually said in the newspapers this morning that that's what they're going to do next. Something is happening dangerously in the country of the Bahamas because we've allowed this whole situation to get out of control for the most part. And we now need to take control and measure up. T.G. Morrison, speaking at the Majority Rule Day, the occasion, marking the 10th of January, said some things that were basically germane to the situation in Abaco. He talked about these 70% of students who had been marking territory, putting up their flag and saying, Bahamian children can't pass that way. That was something that was basically results of what some people have done in that community in Abaco. People are now concerned about it. And everybody is now on the same page that, yes, we indeed have to do something to get rid of these people. But what can we do? That's the big question. Put that to the end of the table for right now, because I'm sure we're going to talk about that today here with Lincoln Bain. But more particularly, right now, we're looking at a situation where the natives of Abaco, who don't have places to live and rest their heads and all that kind of stuff, who belong here, these are natives. It's an observation. As I said, they complained to us, media. Lincoln Bain went down there, and they did a fact-finding mission to find out exactly what's been happening in that place, Abaco, north and south, to see if they can bring some kind of sense to it and see if they can recommend some things to the present government of the Bahamas, that these are some things that they must take a look at and be sure about what they're going to be doing. And so that's why I have Mr. Lincoln Bain here today, because I think he's a very, very fantastic custodian of making sure that people are doing things correctly and that people need the help. And he's been reaching out as an advocate to try to help as many people as he can. And so I want to welcome him today to the show on Hard Copy so that we can find out for sure what else is happening in Abaco, how really is the situation on the ground as far as the economy is concerned, because I talked with Lincoln earlier in the week. He said to me that they're really running the economy now. There's a new economy, a shift in the economy. The economy is no longer held and dealt with by the people who are unions. That is a foregone conclusion now, is what he was telling me. So I want to ask him point blank today, what is, Mr. Lincoln Bain, the situation in North and South Abaco, and how can we get on top of this thing at this particular time with all the other stuff that's going on in our country? Good afternoon.
Steve, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the Bahamas. You know, our country is suffering from a serious crime epidemic, and illegal immigration is one of those crimes that we're suffering from. It is a major crime in this country. Major. It is more major than the murders. We have more illegal immigration offenses than we have robberies or rapes or any other crime. It is a major crime, and it is causing other crimes. It's causing a systemic problem in this country, and that is illegal immigration. And I don't care if it's Haitians or Jamaicans or Chinese, etc. Because when you start out against illegal immigration, people start to say you hate Haitians. I don't know why they would feel that way. We don't hate Haitians. We don't hate anyone. We love all people. But you have to come to our country the right way. I love my brother. I love my sister. But when they come to my house, I have to knock on the door. Don't jump through the back window and show up and kick my children out of their room, take over, and be in my fridge eating my stuff. That's criminal behavior. And so we're not against them. We were standing up for this cause because our land is our most important natural resource. Natural resources are located in land. Even the ocean is on land, if you think about it. And so to protect our natural resources, we had to deal with this because it's being taken over by others, all right, who are not buying it, using the free, enterprise, the free market economy. They are coming and taking it for the most part. And then there are some people who are renting to them, et cetera, et cetera. And we wanted to go and find out what's going on. So from the previous administration was in, they were lying about the situation. And we had to go there and expose and show what's going on and show the growth in those communities after Dorian. They were pretending that it didn't happen. Minister went and fake kicked down a door. And he knew he had no intention to do anything. And they direct Haitians to go to another area. And so what we did was jump on the plane and go to that other area to show Bahamians, don't mind what you see in the newspapers. Here is where they are. And they were building, freely. They were being encouraged. A lot of the building materials that didn't go to Bahamians, they got. So while Bahamians didn't get those building materials that were donated, They got it. While Bahamians didn't get the monies that were donated to them, they got it. They got cards. They were giving out cards too. They gave them cards. They gave them all manner, of things. Um, while Bahamians suffered. And when this administration took over, they had the same attitude. What illegal immigration problem? We don't have illegal immigration problem. And what Shanty Town problem? That's what they said. And until we had to jump on the plane again, go over there to Abaco, go to Eleuthera, go to these places and show the Bahamian people what was going on. And it is a disaster.
It is.
Many of our islands are not the same as they used to be.
What do you mean by that?
The old
Populations are gone.
Not just that the populations are gone, the sweetness of islands, they're now becoming like ghetto. They're looking more like Port-au-Prince than they used to look. And this is happening. We're being slowly cooked. Like how you boil a frog, they just gradually, things happen and no one pays attention. Harbor Island is not what it used to be. Harbor Island used to be a sweet island where billionaires wanted to come and live there. Now, it's gone full. In some areas, when you go in those areas, you can smell a different smell that you don't smell normally, even in our ghettos.
Emanate from.
Yeah, it smells like
our lifestyle.
Like you used to travel to Port-au-Prince in Harbor Island. All right, and I just have to speak the truth. And there's some people who won't accept that, and they feel that you shouldn't speak the truth, but I have to because this is my only country I got. We're talking about people who have another country in their own country, but I gotta say what's going on. So, Harbor Island is like that. Luther is being taken over by no point. Where Windermere is, they're landing the boat right there, letting the people off. All right. This is a problem. Andres is being overrun. They're burning our forest in Andres. One police in the video said we need Andres and no let burn. And so they're burning it to make coal to use
forest.
And when we see that these people were they were exporting coal by burning our forest and not didn't believe us until we exposed that a member of parliament was caught red-handed. We went and we showed pictures right from his yard. The containers pulled up to his yard and they were loading the coal right there in his yard. And that was a part of the scheme that was going on. This is government involvement now on Crown land that was issued to him behind his yard where he was having the coal load, and we presented the pictures. All right. There seems to be a serious problem going on, but the government is working with them. They can't do this alone.
This is straight across the Bahamas, or this is in particular
straight across
in the confines of
straight
Africa.
Across.
Because I want to tell me more about. I hear what you're saying, and this is very alarming to the average everyday citizen because this cannot be happening. We heard you say it long time. We know that of the things that have happened in the past, and we know of this whole thing about that land cry and everything else. But now that you're saying it and you're putting it succinctly in the point that you talk about all of the islands, but I want to hear more about the fact-finding mission that happened on the island of Abaco, because this is where the gist of the matter really is, and maybe they can be the start of what can happen in the other islands once people know that this is what is actually happening. Slowly being cooked, slowly been taken over, and we don't even understand what's going on.
Every time we go to Abaco to show the Bahamian public what's going on, the government follows us, and then they start to do a little something to make it seem like they're doing something. They are taking us for fools, And I just want to say this as I talk about Abaco. They started demolishing some houses. They're not demolishing Shanty Towns. All right. In the paper today, they said that the Shanty Towns are demolished. They're gone. That's not true because they were there breaking down some houses today.
In Abaco.
No. I'm talking about in Nassau.
Nassau,
I'm just
right.
talking in general.
Mhm.
Today, they were now. So how could the papers print yesterday? Because the paper they sold this morning was printed yesterday.
Mhm.
How could they say that the Shanty Town? Basically, no, they are selectively breaking down some houses because we're bringing attention to it.
So you're saying that paper was misleading?
Yeah, it was misleading because those Shanty Towns are still there right now as we speak. All right, and they're selecting a few houses. They're displacing persons and removing them and finding houses for them. All right, they let them scream out there and talk. Oh, where are we gonna go? We're gonna go, right? So people could think, oh yeah, they put them out. Okay, good. And then they're gonna go back like they did at Shanty Town and find housing for them. They are still housing persons from Shanty Towns right now, while they send out a letter to Bahamians that they leave the Sun Fund and the other place where they were located, and so they're still housing these persons from the Shanty Town. And what they're doing is claim Bahamians, but we know that these persons, while they are technically Bahamians, they're the one we gave papers to recently. They're one of the ones we recently gave papers to, or their children, which are Bahamians, right? But they are the ones who just got papers, so they can call them Bahamians and say, "No, this house Bahamians from the." Come on, man. So you know what's going on.
You're using the language.
Yeah. They're playing with us.
That was the thing that Brent, what's his name? Brent.
Simonet.
No. The other gentleman over in Garden Hills. What's his name again?
In Garden Hills?
Yeah, he used to be the Free National Movement representative in Garden Hills.
Oh, Brenzel Road.
Yeah, that's what he told me some years ago. That no, Steve, they're Bahamians. No, you got it wrong, Steve. They're Bahamians. And I couldn't pick up what he was saying. He was actually meaning that these guys were the ones who were just recently trying.
Who bought their papers?
Exactly.
Papers are selling like candy right now.
So he was saying that they're Bahamians. And so when he says that, what can the Bahamian people do? That's the thought. Just to think about it. We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But tell me more about this whole
and thing. So now that, so now they're playing that little flam, like they're, we demolished some buildings. Yeah. And now you're going to take those people, put them in house and provide for them. And pick some buildings that they weren't really using and break it down just for the PR. Everything is PR. And now because they expose Abaco, now they print, and Abaco is next. All right. They've been to Abaco a couple of times. Why is Abaco next? Why didn't you break it down the last time you were there? You know what I want you to notice what's happening? The reason I brought up Nassau as I go back to Abaco, the reason I brought up Nassau is because you notice what they're not doing? Okay, you're breaking down houses in the Shanty Town. How come I hear you lock up no one? No illegal immigrants?
No.
Not one?
They're all Bahamians, I suppose.
Not one? So all of them, only Bahamians live in Shanty Towns. All right? It shows you that this is a game. This is a trick. And they're going to rehouse them and move them around. All right? I don't want to hear you breaking down houses. Illegal immigration. What happened in Harbor Island, Eleuthera, and now in Abaco, and also people. I've been doing whatever, and then all those people got let back out. All
these are the Haitian nationals.
Every single one, yes. All of them were let back out.
Like you say, it's a PR thing that they. We've got to understand this thing. The government of the Bahamas must get serious about what they're doing, because you can only fly on people so long. If you're doing public relations just for the pictures and you're spelling out things like Abaco next and this one next and that next, it seems systematic that you're doing some stuff and it's spinning wheels in a way, and you're influencing some people because you're saying that this one is next and that one is next. But what are you really doing? As you said, you haven't seen anybody being locked up. We know that there are people who are here illegally. There's just been coming boats. They come off the boats and they live on these towns. I mean, what is going on, and how can this whole matter be absolutely stopped right now? Because if that's what the government is doing, they're doing. Maybe a lot of people feel that way too, but that's what they. If that's what they're doing, at the end of the day, they expose. And then what then? What then? What's going to happen then?
The government doesn't care. Back to Abaco. The economy of the economy of Abaco is shifting to where Bahamians are being displaced. Bahamians who are there, the contractor guys, who would normally do, construction work and other stuff, they're being replaced with foreigners. All right. And it's Asians and Mexicans, but it's foreigners. But in terms of the ownership, there's a gentrification going on, and there's an economic shift that's happening. The Asian parents did what parents are supposed to do, and you can't get angry at them for that. They took care of their children, they sacrificed, and had to do so that their children would have an advantage. So now I went and I did a live and I showed you that they're in the more prevalent areas and they're building nice houses. They're houses. One Haitian bag that he bought 3 houses, one man, 13 houses.
3 and 0.
All right, houses. And so a lot of them are now buying, just not about the Shanty Towns. So don't lose your focus. They have shifted their economic status. They are building apartments and they're refusing to rent to Bahamians in some instances. They are the contractors getting all the jobs and the contracts from government, etc. And they're not hiring Bahamians unless they just...
How can this be, though? How can this be?
Because we sit down and let it happen, and because we sit down and say, oh, just leave them people alone, man. We got to just integrate and let them come, etc., etc. My primary concern is for your grandchildren and your children. Steve, I don't want anyone a job that is from somewhere else that your son could have. Nobody. All right? This land is our land. This country. I'm not foreign. They want all foreigners to go on Asia. Listen, I want the foreigners to come here, to partner with us, and work for us. It's simple as that. But we should not. We are being pushed to second class, and it's happening right before our eyes, and we're not taking this seriously. I'm only fighting for business, Steve. And this is not a good stance to take. Not a good political stance, This is political suicide. To stand up like this.
It could be detrimental.
But I have to take a stand for my country and for my people.
But do you feel like you're standing alone on these issues? Because just like the crime, many people say that they want this to happen and want the other thing to happen, but at the end of the day, they don't really get involved, and they're not doing anything about this crime. For one thing, I'm asking you now, on this whole matter of land and immigration and the rest of it that you're dealing with constantly, to just the battle, and then if it happens, good. If it don't happen, well, see, I'm saying to you, are we about to get involved in such matters such as immigration? We know that law will be involved. We know that there are many people who are trying to get involved and see how they can kind of rectify this matter. But is the government involved in a way, in a holistic way, that says and we've got to do, I believe, must take the lead in doing that something. It can't be that Lincoln being there take lead, and that's his right to do, and I believe that people appreciate what you do. But at the same time, the government must take that lead to do some things that's going to benefit the Bahamian people through and through this country. What are your thoughts?
Steve, it is always extremely difficult to stand up and do what's right. It's always difficult to stand up and do. If you don't have any enemies, you've never done anything right. That's what Margaret Thatcher said to the Queen Elizabeth. It's because as long as you do something that's right, you're going to develop enemies. And it's very difficult to stand up to people who are making money. The government officials who are corrupt are making money from illegal immigration. This is a big money-making scheme. From the smuggling to the selling of the papers, this is a huge money-making scheme.
You know, even now with all that trouble that we had with Mr. Bell and all that, That cannot be happening now.
I have been informed.
Be trying that from
I have been
happening now, right?
informed by immigration officials that it is worse now than when Keith Bell was there. It's just quiet because no attention is on it. But they said it is now worse than the prior. It is worse.
This is the man in charge of immigration.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that is, the PLP is good at distracting you and putting up distractions. And there's so much things going wrong. Like, what do you focus on? You know, and that's the problem. So a lot of people are going to stand up because you're going to be vilified. The first thing they start doing is calling you names. You're xenophobic. And whenever someone doesn't have an argument to stand on, they start calling names. And so that's what they're doing. And so they're attacking us. While we're suffering from economic in our own country. They are pointing fingers at us because we're complaining about it. But it's hard to find people with the courage to stand up. And the issue is there's some behavior living community affected. They hire these persons, and so see what the problem is. Y'all just get along and let the people come. But we gotta look out. Say not to look out for anything because I helped Haiti when they break. It was the right move. But when I started to be economically, one time I go foreign Caucasians, etc., first class, the politicians and our local blacks who were oligarchs were under them. And we were somewhere at the bottom of that, and then the Haitians were beneath us, and they are now we're in a place.
Yeah.
Politicians said, Steve, a Haitian man wanted his papers, he was dying, leave me on the phone. Well, Bahamians can't get you on the phone. Yeah, so much confidence that they can make a call and get things done. It's a problem. And Bahamians need to wake up and see what is going on, Steve. And Abaco, our third economy, has gone. We have to get it back.
But in fact, people seem to be demotivated. Our people down there, they seem to lack the interest now because the government, they've been saying, are not coming in. They're not a big picture anymore. It seems that's what they're saying. That's what Abaconians are now saying. They don't seem to be a part of the big picture anymore. It's lost that whole bit of the 70% of the gross for the product of the economy. The whole thing was just in that then played out. What's your thoughts about this whole thing? How can they get return, measure themselves, and become again that particular place, that settlement, that glorious part of thing in Abaco?
Well, it seems like the government choked out Bahamian. They did not assist persons when the minister administrations blocked everything. All right, we know the story. I don't have to rehash that. They blocked everything. This government came and continued that. And so while persons were getting their homes completed, etc., and they had a program where persons were supposed to get $10,000, they lost their homes, and $8,000 for their $5,000 for that. They said the Davis administration stopped it. They came in, they talked to two elderly ladies. Excuse me. Excuse me. I spoke to two elderly ladies when I was there the last time. And they said that the Davis administration came and stopped everything. All right. And then they went and sold the supplies that were donated. They auctioned them off. So it's like they wanted Bahamians to be displaced in Abaco. All right. And so there was a big disadvantage. If it wasn't
the agenda on that, if they want Bahamians to be displaced, I mean, how can they be? We've been making up 70% of the economy. That's what I'm saying to you. How would they want that to happen if, in fact, we were in a glorious bit with the people of Abaco? I mean, they paid their bills. I mean, I'm saying to you, I don't understand how you can sit here and say to me that They probably just wanted this thing to be displaced. And if they wanted to be displaced, for what reason? You mean for the other people who are here illegally? Some of them legal. Some of them may even been now granted citizenship and all kinds of stuff since we've been not checking, as you said. We've not been checking. We don't know exactly what's actually happened. There's been no roll call to say, these are the new citizens of Bahamas, and this is who these people are. So the people are working on a vacuum. They see all these things going around and Abaco and all this kind of stuff, and they're not a part of it. They don't know how it happens, but they assume now that these people must be citizens. I mean, what is going on?
We are being destabilized. Our men are losing their jobs. Our men are losing their incomes, and we're being destabilized. And the best way to keep countries under control internationally is to have confusion there and to have them focusing on each other and destabilizing those countries. Immigration is the fastest way to do that. All right. And so if you let a different culture of people come in and take your culture, there's going to be a culture clash. A clash is going on. Some saviors can come from elsewhere. And while you're fighting, they can own everything. I know I went deep just now, but that's just the reality to answer your question. All right. To stabilize them.
It's a very serious thing.
Yeah. Stabilize them, put them together with other people. Not going to get along. Bahamians won't get along with another culture for too long. I'm just being real. There's different cultures. Haitians don't get along with each other in Haiti, my brother. That's why they're having all the turmoil there now. They're killing each other. They're fighting. There are persons from the north who don't get along with the south. They don't want to mix. The friends from the north prefer to leave the country and go in the ocean than to go to Port-au-Prince to get a better life where there are jobs, etc. They're destabilized there. Keep them destabilized and you can benefit from their natural resources, etc.
Yeah, but we're going to be destabilized in a minute.
We are going to.
We're almost there now.
And what's the problem is, see, the people who are in the upper class don't have a problem with immigration because in fact, the working class is who have a problem with immigration because they're being replaced. And they have to live amongst these people. The upper class don't have to go to the Princess Margaret Hospital, all right, and deal with the situation there.
I see your point.
Let me see the upper class. Their children don't have to fight for a seat in the school. You see, so this is why it's the regular working class people who always have to fight for their place, and it's them who are saying, "Hey, what is going on? We're being replaced. We need a job." You know, well, you could come and hire this person because he can work for less. Come on, man, that's not fair to me. And that's where the problem comes in. Steve, because so many nurses called me today, you know, talk about the situation at the hospital. There's no beds. There's people who've been for days waiting in A&E, waiting to get a bed because other people are filling up the beds. All right. They're now going to put Bahamians, old men and women who've been in some of them in the trauma room. Trauma is supposed to have about 6 people the most, 20-something in trauma room right now. And they're going to take persons from me and them in the C ward. The C ward don't have no AC. That's an infectious ward. All right? Infectious ward. They're putting regular sick people in the C ward. All right? That's a problem. Many of the wards don't have AC. So along with us being replaced and not enough beds and
Can die off.
And not having the hospital is in disarray. Everything is going wrong in this country, and one of the reasons for that is illegal immigration. This crime thing you keep talking about, illegal immigration contributes to that.
We're going to get to that in a minute. But you said something earlier that they're being replaced by who? What's the predominant group of people who Bahamians are being replaced with in the hospital by being patients and all that kind of stuff? The predominant group of people would be what? The Mexicans, the Guatemalans, the Haitians.
I don't think I've ever saw a Mexican or a Chinese Chinese, Margaret. I haven't ever seen that.
So what are we talking
seen
about?
I've seen Filipinos, but they were there working, nurses and doctors.
So the patient's side of it, they would be the Haitian nationals.
Yeah. And nurses have told me that sometimes it'll be someone need blood, and there are persons who are Haitian nationals who work in the hospital now, and they'll make sure their people get straight. They'll make sure that people get a bed, and they're looking out for each other while we're not looking out for ourselves. And I don't wrong them for looking out for each other, because I can look out for my fellow Bahamians. That's where my loyalty is. But if they're looking out for each other, but we're not looking out for ourselves, if we've been brainwashed to think that there's something wrong with looking out for Bahamians and being proud to be a Bahamian and understand what an organic Bahamian is, then we lost. We lost. We have no identity. Back in the 80s when we used to land in Miami, as soon as you land, Bahamians used to start talking like American. Take an accent.
That's right.
Because we have no identity.
That's right.
They've taken our identity and who we are. It's a shame to be an organic Bahamian. What is that? That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. You're going to offend other people. What? Because I'm a proud Bahamian? How can you? If I've been here all my life, contributing to this society, paying my taxes, working here, my granddaddy been here, my great-granddaddy been here, and we build this society. How you, who just come here, pay off Keith Bellem, this is a scenario, to get some papers, and you just get your papers, you want to say, you are me? Come on, man, give Bahamians some respect. Just how in Haiti, Haitians respect. A foreigner can't buy land. A foreigner can't take on, they can't take on any public office. All right, they protect themselves. And there's something called a Haitian of origin, which has all rights and different class from even a Haitian who moved and went somewhere else to live. Let's be proud to be Bahamian, man. Let's make our children proud to be Bahamian. Everyone else is proud of who they are. Let's be proud Bahamian.
It seems to me, Lincoln, we've been taking on everybody else's problems, and we've been bringing them home to us as if these problems belong to us. You're right. We ought to be proud. We ought to be proud as Bahamians. Proud and make sure that we are looking out for each other. And there's nothing wrong, as you said, with looking out for each other. We're supposed to be looking out for each other. We're allowing for other persons to come into this country, and they are doing what they feel like doing. Our police force seems to be over this way. Government seems to be over that way. And now we're trying to mobilize all the people, put them together on an equal crime because some people are being murdered. But you started to say some things that these things are interrelated. These things are a part of what the whole murder racket and the whole crime racket is all about, because there are guns and stuff involved. And I know for many, many years, you've been saying to the public that, listen, these things happen because of the gun increase that has come into the Bahamas. How do you measure what you're talking about now with the fact that we are under siege in many ways from the criminals and from those who we don't even know? We don't even know what they are. We don't even know who they are because their names are unfamiliar to us. We don't know who they are. So we are running in the dark, searching in the dark, and we can't find what we're looking for.
Steve, the Prime Minister gave a speech on crime, which I thought was the most ridiculous speech I have ever heard in my life.
Why?
It was comical. One because it was not original to the Bahamas or to his government. He stole that speech.
What do you mean?
He stole the entire plan.
What are you talking about?
He stole the entire plan. That was a plan from England.
Is that right?
It talks about Clare, Holden Bill. It was by Robert Thompson or Robert Thomas in England from back in the day, from the 1940s. And now they're doing some things with it. They saw some problems with that. And there's a whole breakdown. The difference with how England presented it and how Brave Davis then presented it. England showed you step by step what needed to happen. Said if those things do not take place, then this can't work. Don't do it. It talked about the transparency, buy-in, and making sure you have all the equipment and some things you have to do. Otherwise, not gonna work. They actually stipulate that in the plan.
Mhm.
The plan, Brave Davis them stole the plan word for word and came to us like they have a plan. If Bahamians don't see that that's a serious problem, that we in trouble, then we deserve to be lost. How could the government just plagiarize? In academia, we had a president of our university who gave a speech and he didn't cite the source and he was asked to step down. They tried to take Martin Luther King's doctorate degree because he didn't cite a quote, just one little sentence. He didn't cite the author, right? And he said he didn't know the author was. He just said that. But other people say, well, you know, we need to take your doctorate degree. How could our government come and plagiarize an entire speech and we read out?
Now, you call it plagiarizing, but the quote where did this come from? This whole thing that Mr. Davis and those purportedly said and did on the radio, on television. What was the name of that speech, and what did it really entail? I want to be very clear.
It's not a speech. It's an actual plan. And if you go on Google now, you could pull it up quickly. It's a plan, and the plan is called Clear, Hold, and Build. It's an it's a tactic. It's not a strategy. It shouldn't be put out there as a strategy, and it says it in the plan. This is not a strategy. It's a tactic, and it's for short term. All right, but it's not for fighting crime. If this is the situation or that is the situation, etc., etc. All right, that is where the problem comes in. And when you look at that and you go through it and you see what they outlined in there, it shows that we shouldn't be doing that. It talks about all of the different agencies working together, making sure you have everything in place when you do certain things. It's talking about the backlash you're going to have from the Bahamian people. Like, for example, he's talking this nonsense about they're gonna have more police roadblocks as a part of their crime strategy. Come on, man, Steve. You were police. I was a police. Police roadblocks do not stop crime. All right? They do not. All right? The real criminals, when they're moving their drugs, their gun, whatever they want to do, when they got their gun, they go into a scene, they're not going to certain corners where they know it could be a roadblock, where they can't turn off, etc., etc. If they come to an area and they see traffic there that shouldn't really be there, they're gonna turn off. They're gonna say, okay, police out there. Because whenever police is on the corner, the traffic is gonna be backed up because they stop in every car. So they're gonna come there. All right, they're not gonna go to roundabouts where they can't, escape and turn off. So the police roadblocks are only gonna harass regular Bahamians. All right, that's not to say that they can't get some little no jokey fellas who might slip up. But for the most part, that's not a crime strategy. I said before, you know who the criminals are. Whether they're Bahamians or Haitians, whoever they are, you know who they are. Target the criminals, not the Bahamian people. All right? Target the criminals, you know who they are, target their money, watch their houses like the FBI does in the States, like they do in England and every other civilized country, in Canada. If they know that you are a gang leader, a drug dealer, they can be parked up outside the house. They'll be doing everything to get any evidence on you because they're trying to get you. They saw him in New York. Remember back in the day in the 80s, before Trump and them made some change around there, investors used to get mugged in the streets. People's getting robbed and raped in the alleys. You wouldn't want to go in New York. Now it's not like that.
Well, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas has said something very interesting. He says that there's going to be this intrusive policing plan. Now, of course, that has a lot of inferences going into that, this intrusive policing plan. Now, Michael Pintard, the leader of the opposition, taken exception to it, and he says that this is something that's going to border on the fact that people's civil liberties and all that kind of stuff is going to be called into question because of this intrusive plan that the Prime Minister has forecasted that he wants to have had hit in the country. I want to find your views about that, and in fact, tell me if in fact this is something that is, I suppose you're saying that this is part of this strategy that you're talking about, and this should not be a plan for crime fighting. How do you feel about this intrusive plan for the police to be really looking at things in every angle and every way, and they might forego some other things just to make sure that they get their man?
The government's solution to everything seems to be to harass and attack Bahamians. If the government fiscal position is not doing well, let's tax the Bahamian people and make sure the tax only goes to them. Let's tax the boat owners. All right. Someone says their boat tax went from $20 to $400. I talked to someone else today. Their boat went from $400 to $1,700. Not from 20 to 700. The first one. This one does some tours. Went from paying $400 per boat, got 4 boats, to $1,700 a boat. Just attack Bahamians. The solution always is go after the organic Bahamian. All right, we need money. Let's rape the Bahamian people. Let's spank them. Everything they need is go after the Bahamian people, you know. And so the same thing. Crime is in trouble. Okay, we coming after you. Instead of targeting the criminal, they're targeting us. Now, they said today, because they're going to try to make every little small thing they do to make it seem like they want supplement. They're not going to get results. They said they locked up some persons who were part of organized crime. All right? This isn't the first time they did that. Last year, they did the same thing with some fellas from Pinewood. All right? A known, gangster in Pinewood. They locked them up. They held them for a couple of days, then let them out. When they lock them up, they say, oh, we've locked up with reference to gang-related crimes. We locked them up. But they don't ever tell you that when they let them go. They'll have a big thing, put in the papers, we locked them up related to this. They held the fellas 48 hours, then let them go.
Well, maybe they're just doing public relations more.
Because it is public relations. So again, they're going to lock these fellas up, and then nothing. That is what they're continuously doing, and people are falling for this public relations, but we need to wise up.
My Lord. So this whole thing about intrusive policing and all that, what do you think that is really all about? What do you think that the crime is actually meant by?
Should not have a police state. In a country small as this, we know who the bad apples are. That's like a teacher has some disruptive children in her class, and she starts punishing all the children because of the disruptive children. No, you deal with the disruptive children. We know who they are. Mm-hmm. All right? The members of parliament know they are. The commissioner of police himself said, we've met with them. You met with the gang leaders? You met with the gang leaders and you didn't lock them up? Now you see where the problem is. Steve, being in a gang is a crime, according to the Penal Code Section 90. Being in a gang, not just being in a gang and doing something. Murdering, robbing, etc. No, the fact that you are in the gang is a crime. So how could you say you met with the gang leaders and had talks with them? What? Just like there's a serial killer out and you say you met with the serial killer and tell him to stop behave. What? There's a series of bank robberies going on. You catch the fellas.
What do you think is our policeman's problem here? Because if they're meeting with these people who they seem to epitomize as the big boys. We met with the gang leaders, so they said, and we didn't lock them up, but we met with the leaders. And it's like everybody wants to be a leader, so you meet the leaders. See, I'm saying to you, what's the end result at the end of the day? Are our police doing things in an incorrect way on this crime matter now?
Political interference, Steve.
That's what it is.
Political interference. You know from you was force. I know from I was on the force. You will get the call, let that man go. Leave that alone. Don't touch this. Don't touch that. Political interference. You're going to harass Bahamians driving in their car, trying to get to work, and you're going to tell me you're going to cause me to be late for work, cause my child to be late for school, cause me to get cut at work because you don't want to do your job and deal with the criminals? Political interference and political involvement is where the problem is. All right? When the criminal wants to move his drugs, his guns, whatever he's moving, he may even have some police officers who assist him. You're going to pay them off. All right? they're not doing this on a small level.
You're not in this country though.
In this country.
You mean in this country?
All right, I'm not saying the majority of our police are very good people. There's a few bad apples, but the criminals are working with the bad apples, and sometimes the bad apples are getting instructions from the politicians and doing what they're told. All right, because they want that promotion, etc. They want just. There's a corrupt system that we should deal with.
What's the use of dealing with those things with promotion, and you got all this hell on your hand with murders happening in half a minute? I mean, you got all this hell on your hand, and you're gonna enjoy life in this house. How could that be?
The prime minister of this country is a victim of crime. The prime minister of this country.
Yes, I know.
His house was shot up one time. His house was invaded by some criminals. They were robbed. That's what the story was. Of course, all of those criminals got killed afterwards. But he's a victim of crime. The commissioner of police is a victim of crime going into his house. If anyone should take this crime, it should be them. This isn't the first time they talk about what they're going to do about crime. Steve, this is 2.5 years in. Now you coming with this plan that you copy and paste from England? They should be embarrassed. They should be the laughing stock of the world. They would present that. 2.5 years in, Steve, and now you still talking about what you are going to do, and a part of what you're going to do is harass us? We ain't doing nothing. We're the good students. Teacher, it's him who talking. It's him who disrupting the class. It's him who bothering you. Why are you punishing me?
They say the innocent suffer for the guilty. It's a serious thing.
The politicians.
I don't mean to make a joke of it, but you see, I realize that what we have here is a serious communication problem here. Something is wrong between we, the citizens of this country, the government of this country, the church of this country, and basically the criminal minds of this country. Something is wrong, because I can understand how we can have all these people who can come here and say, this is what, and it's quite interesting that I forgot that you're a former policeman. I had a gentleman on the show yesterday who was here policing since 1951, Paul Thompson.
Sharp fellow.
And very, very sharp. And, he's been telling me that he'd been giving successive governments over time
ideas, and they won't take it.
They won't take it.
No.
Now, I'm saying after he finished with me yesterday, I got so many calls telling me that that's the man who should be exalted for crime. I got so many calls that came to me after the show was over. Because
see, if you want to say he's not a consultant,
no, he's an consultant.
But you got Rodney Mudka as a consultant?
Yes. Yes. Carlos Reed is a consultant as well. But you see what I'm saying? The people now know. See, they've been exposed. I put the man on the show because I wanted to interview many, many years. I didn't get a chance to interview him. But I did so yesterday. And he was tremendous because the man is 97 years old. Mm-hmm. Thinking like he's 19. Got the ideas off the top of his head just coming out. He knows what he's talking about. And he has some sound ideas. And I'm saying, you mean he cannot be a police consultant? I mean,
let me be real with you, Steve.
See, I'm concerned about that, because it means that the country is not going anywhere fast.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Ellison Greenslade when he was, I sat down and talked to Ellison Greenslade. All right, call him name. Mm. And he had some amazing plans. He had, a plan, a book, it looked like a magazine. This was like revolutionary at the time. And I really let me go through it, and I read through it, and I was like, wow, this will solve the problems. He said, but Lincoln is like, they don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want none of this. He said, it's the equipment I need. It's like, they don't want it. I said, well, stand up, say something. He said, no, then they got to attack me. I said, let them attack you. They can hurt themselves. But no one will stand up. You saw Paul roll after he left. He said the prime minister was making him do stuff he didn't want to do. How could someone make you do something? The prime minister ain't your boss. You have a constitutional position. The prime minister is not the boss of the commissioner of police. The minister of national security is not the boss of the commissioner of police. He is his own man. But because when they retire, they can need another job, they behave themselves because they need to be an ambassador or somewhere or get a cushy job because that's how it works.
So that means it's all about them. It's not about saving the country. It's not about saving the country for the welfare of the new young Bahamian who wants to come up and have a place to live. We're doing food, That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Let me take you deep into the time problem, Steve. All right? Maybe a little controversial, but I got to be real. The politicians are working with the criminals. The politicians go into the communities. They know the bad side. They get them because they're going to influence the street. They get them. They pay the general, the captain, and they let them put money in the streets. How, after election, after you win, you will lock up this fella and his crew? How? And that's where we get some of the calls. The police officer leave one alone. Or the man get locked up. You keep locking him up. Then you let him right back out. All right. This is what some of the problem is. On top of that, you're empowering the criminals. All right. A lot of drug dealers are getting contracts. Some of our buildings in this country is built with drug dealer money. Buildings. They know these fellas are drug dealers. All right. They build the building because they have the cash. They use them to build the buildings. And then they pay them off. How are you then? If this man is building buildings for the government, how are you going to lock up him and his crew? How you can touch him? You need that building built because you want to say you did something. So how you can touch that? So now they're allowing drug money to build our government buildings. This has been going on. We had a building in Grand Bahama, took years and years to build. The man who was responsible for building it got locked up in the middle of it, charged with drugs and money laundering, all this stuff, No one say nothing. But what you using drug money to build our building? This is the reality. So how you gonna fight crime? This is why they can meet with the fellas. They know who the fellas are. This is how they can have me. Y'all come on. Let's sit down and talk. Man, listen, crime little bad right now, and you're making us look bad. Now we want you to keep doing your little thing. Man, ease up. Talk to the street fellas and tell them we need at least one little month.
Believe that now?
Yes.
You believe that's what?
Yes. You all just ease up for just hold off for a little while, man. Tell them to hold them little grudge for just right now. We just looking bad right now. All right? What you need a job? Need a little contract? The Prime Minister came last year and said to the whole world, the government is going to be giving jobs and contracts to criminals, to gang members. Like, we hear that, and it doesn't register. I don't understand the society we're living in.
This society has changed a whole lot. We don't have that kind of father figure, mother figure anymore in our country. And the younger people who are now supposed to be raw-born Bahamians, they don't know exactly where they are because they don't even know the rules of the game. They don't know the rules of engagement. They don't know what manners of respect, taking you throughout the world. The young ladies inside there, most of them, I'm talking about the entire banking system. They don't have to talk to people. They say anything, what their minds tell them to say. It's wrong. If they had been in a country where, more me, but even you in some cases, would have grown up and know manners and respect takes you through the world. You must be polite, you must be kind, you be courteous. These things are distant from these new young people. Mm-hmm. And these are the new young people. And I don't mean to hold anything against them. These are the new young people who want to be in charge of things. But